Blain Wilson,
Peace.
Matt Smith,
Good evening.
and our special returning guest who may as well just be a host on the show, Lyle Richardson, aka Spector's Hockey. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back, guys.
We're just surprised you keep saying yes.
I'm hungry for fame.
You're not getting it here.
You're going in the opposite direction.
No, I keep coming back because y'all are two things that I like and admire. You're in the Canadian Forces and you're Habs fans. So,
We thought it's because we made you look handsomer.
well, there's that too.
Yeah. By comparison, except for Matt. Matt just makes us all look bad.
Well, thank you for that.
Well,
okay. Now that we're done the awkward silence.
dead air. Okay.
I don't know if that's a stab at me or
no. That was not sexual harassment on Matt. I promise. All right. So this episode, basically, we're coming into the NHL draft period now. We're about 9 days away. There's a ton of rumors just flying around. And Lyle, that's your wheelhouse.
Oh yes, it is. This is the season. The playoffs are over. All 32 teams can start trading again, and we're only I think a week and a half away from the start of the draft. So this is the time of year when all the chatter starts up hot and heavy again.
All the GM's arms are going to get sore from playing Red Rover.
I just got to fix my chair.
Is your chair too high up?
Probably.
Is it
too low? I'm short.
full grown size?
It's for adults, so I have to. There we go. We're good.
He's got to get the booster seat.
he was doing dips before. That's why he looks so jacked right now.
That's what it is.
It was abs today. It was abs.
Oh.
For the rest of us, that's called an ab.
Yeah.
Singular.
Oh, I don't know. I kind of lost mine over the off season. So.
Well, you're not cutting. You're bulking.
Yeah.
No, I am cutting now.
Oh.
I'm 15. I started cutting last week. I'm 15 weeks out. So.
Oof. Oh man, competition. Oh. Seriously, best of luck, Trey. Seriously.
Yeah.
Again,
I'll do my best.
As I told you guys before, I mean, I used to work when I was out in the Esquimalt in the West Coast Fleet. I used to work out at Gold's Gym there, and I in the late '80s, and I used to know a couple of guys there that when they were trained there, that they were getting ready for competition, and oof, the dedication beyond what I'd be willing to do. I like my food too much, so.
I just ate a bowl of cream of rice, if anyone's wondering. How food is cream of rice is the treat. Thanks for letting me put honey in it.
Well, it's all good. After this podcast, I'm gonna have some ice of cream, so it's all
there
good.
You go.
Right? So,
yeah.
And in about a week and a half, Matt and I are going to have the beer of cold, and Trege is going to watch us.
Well, my trainer said I can take that week, and
that's your cheat week, is it?
Well, let's just say, we'll see. I'll watch them.
If we're at a restaurant together and you're like, "Can I have the Skinny Licious menu, please?" I'll be like, "You're a fucking bitch." All right, so I'll literally say it out loud.
I'm just gonna ask for chicken and rice. That's all.
You're gonna get us kicked out of the state.
Tina's coming, so she's gonna drink all the beer that I wouldn't drink. So
well, finally, someone cool's coming with us.
Well, she can probably drink us all under the table. So
yes,
I'm warning you now. So, oh yeah, you've partied with Tina.
Yeah.
Why is it?
I remember.
Why is it women who are named Tina can drink guys under the table? And I say that because my wife is named Tina.
I don't know. Her family's from PEI. That's why.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
My wife's family is from Newfoundland.
Well, there you go. So.
And that
an island's an island, right?
Yeah, the islands unto themselves. Yeah.
What else is there to do?
I think anyone with their name with their first name that ends in is dangerous.
Yes, that is a fact.
Anyway, back to hockey.
Okay. It's the
we've
middle-aged
rambled
men
enough.
commiserating with middle-aged men. Yes, tonight on the WB. There we go. Okay.
For anyone who wants to listen to me commiserate about former people in my life, just meet me in Nashville, buy me a few beers, and see what happens. No, seriously, come buy me beers.
He's desperate. He needs.
We're warning you, when we go to the States for a draft, we hang out with some pretty high-level people. Isn't that right?
Except for
Matt?
Lyle, because
That is true.
He can't come.
That's right.
I mean, Dallas, you had Mark Bergevin, Guy Lapointe, the Hunter brothers, that George Bush's airplane pilot.
He was awesome,
He was a pretty cool guy.
especially when he was buying his drinks.
There
I
you
drank
go.
a lot of Jack Daniels that night.
Ooh. Oof.
That was something close to the noises we were making at the end of the night.
They were the
sun was
Diamond
coming
Dogs.
up.
Y'all were the Diamond Dogs by that point.
Well, we were howling at the rising sun. Let's put it that way.
Oh God.
What time does day 2 start? Oh, we got an hour.
And you can hear, and now you can hear snails crawl.
Well, we did make it back in time for day 2.
It's
Day
like
barely.
two has been, as from my experience as well. Day 2 is the roughest. It is definitely the roughest day. I mean, various forms of oxidization coming off of people from the night before, and and people looking very, very sad.
Luckily, the next 6 rounds go a lot quicker than the first round.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're very grateful for that by that point. Yeah. But
Speaking of a hockey podcast,
yes. See, I come in and everything just goes right off the rails.
Well, I mean, we were talking for a good 40 minutes before we started, just for fun.
My wife knew that this was going to take a while. She said, "Oh, you're doing Habs and Phil. Okay, so 2 hours." Well, no, it'll probably only take an hour. She's like, "No, 2 hours.
No.
I'll see you in 2 hours." Okay.
Always the way. My wife knows it too.
So guys,
Matt,
so anyone, if for listeners are still there, thank you. So let's just, I guess we'll just hop right into rumors, I guess.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, yeah. So the first one, right off the hop, I think this is a pretty large one because it involves Erik Karlsson, 100-point defenseman, former Norris. Did he win in Norris?
Yeah,
No,
like
he
2.
couldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Not once,
No, he
but
couldn't have. He
twice.
played for the Senators.
And still won it twice. Incredibly. Yes.
But apparently he is in the news because San Jose's looking to move him.
Well, San Jose's been looking to move him basically since last fall. I mean, Mike Greer, let everybody know back in November that he was willing to entertain offers. And there were teams that were, looking into acquiring him before the trade deadline. Edmonton, of course, being the main pursuer, if you will. Oh, I'm not sure how serious that got, but I mean, they were looking into it before they ultimately went the sensible, more affordable, hey, this guy will plug in better on our blue line with Matthias Ekholm. But of course, most people figured that if you're going to move this guy, it would have to be the off season because that's when teams will have more cap space and a willingness to spend. But the same old problem exists. There's one major roadblock in that path to a trade, and that's his contract. $11.5 million per season for 4 more seasons with a full no movement clause. Though he'll waive that clause if he goes to a contender, he's going to waive it. If Ottawa wants him back, I think he would waive it. He maintains a home in Ottawa, so if they were willing to bring him back, I'm sure he'd happily return. And Sens fans would welcome him back, obviously. But yeah, it's that contract, and the Sharks are willing to retain some salary in it, but they're reluctant to retain a full 50%, which would work out to be $5.75 million a season for the next 4 years. That's a lot of freight to carry for 4 years. If it was 2, I could see them doing it. Anything beyond that, yeah, that's even with the cap going to be leaping considerably over the following 3 seasons after 2023-24, even with those big increases, they're still not going to want to carry that if they can avoid it.
Yeah, the return would have to be substantial.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they would prefer something in the ballpark of, 3.5 mil, 3.25, 3.5 mil, which again, that ain't nothing, but by the same token, but it's not 5.75, and you can more
Still not a top 6 player.
Yeah, you can still comfortably carry that, especially as the cap goes up. But they're not just going to give him away either. They're going to want a substantial return, and we got a good idea of what Mike Grier is looking for when he made the Timo Meier trade. You look at that return that he got from New Jersey, and now you expect more. He's going to want a better return than what he got from Meier. So there are teams reportedly who are interested, who are as Pierre LeBrun said last week, you're kicking tires. But I think this is something that's going to take a 3-team deal to pull it off. I think you got to spread those cap dollars around, and if it's a 3-team deal, the Sharks can't be picking up the tab for half. I think that's got to be a thing where it's a third, to kind of balance it all out, because if not, then what's the point? So yeah, that's how I would foresee it going down. Whether that happens, we'll find out in the next couple of weeks, because it's between now, to me, I think it's between now and the end of June, the next 2 weeks. That's when teams have the most cap space. That's when they can invest. Once you hit July 1st, as we all know, that's when the free agent frenzy starts. And even though this year's free agent crop is not that great, there's still going to be a lot of crazy money being tossed around. And once it's done, there's not going to be very many teams that'll have enough left to go back and say, okay, let's, we didn't find the defenseman we wanted in free agency. Let's circle back and see about Karlsson. I've even heard it suggested, well, hey, look, they traded Erik Karlsson, in September, the Senators did, so maybe the Sharks can do it. And it's like, but you're forgetting one thing. When they did that trade, he wasn't carrying 11.5 mil a season for 4 years. So,
which is a pretty heavy burden, even if they did eat a third, and Arizona probably would be the other team that would take that other third.
Or maybe so Chicago.
Or
I would look more Chicago. They've got the most cap space out of any team right now.
But it's more which team is going to be willing to do a rebuild over the next 3 to 4 years. Because that's just, when you're rebuilding, you really don't need that cap space to compete.
Montreal takes a third and gets pick number 4. And then they can get Michkov and whoever else they want, 4 or 5. Done.
My sources tell me.
Yeah.
And my source is Matt.
Well, you mentioned the really crappy free agent class, and I agree, it is garbage.
Woof.
But the last couple of days it just improved, because the Canucks went and did something drastic and bought out Oliver Ekman-Larsson. His $8.2 million per season contract for the next 4 years, bought out.
Mm-hmm.
So now they got him on their cap for the next 8 years, but they pick up about $7 million in cap space.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that's a terrible, terrible move.
They had no choice, though. They really had no choice. And you can't fault the current management, because they weren't the ones who brought the guy in the first place. That's a Jim Benning gift that will just keep on giving for the next 8 years that they got saddled with. The fact that they didn't let this drag out at all. I mean, as soon as opening day of the bio period, boom, Ekman-Larsson's off the team. That tells me there was no market for him. They couldn't even swing a 3-team deal. Nobody wanted this guy, So certainly not to pick up any remaining portion of his contract. Now, maybe as an unrestricted free agent, somebody might look at signing him for considerably less than what he was earning on his previous deal. And I don't think he's going to complain about it, because he's still getting, 2/3 of that, for the next 8 years. He's not going to be complaining about that at all. But, no, I wouldn't. I know you were saying that tongue in cheek when you said, yes, the free agent market just got better because Ekman-Larsson's into it.
Yes and no. He really is one of the better defensemen out there now.
Better than Dmitry Orlov right now?
I said one of.
Yeah, that just goes to show how shallow the free agent pool is.
But a guy like Ekman Larsson, whoever he signs with, he honestly doesn't have to take that much because he's getting that buyout.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he
Right.
won't need to take much, but he's 31 years old. His play has been in decline for the last 4 seasons. He's been in decline. I don't see him magically picking up and becoming a top 2 defenseman again, or even somebody you'd have considered top 3. I'm not saying nobody will pick him up, nobody will sign him, but it'll be short term, and he is a depth defenseman at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
I think he might turn into kind of like what happened to Sammy Vatanen. Right. Sammy Vatanen was like kind of one of the guys, and then because you got to remember, like Anaheim had absolute stacked defense for a long time, and a lot of guys came out of there, and then as they started kind of splitting up, some guys didn't do so well, and
or it could be Erik Karlsson 2.0. Karlsson was on a steady decline, and then all of a sudden, when there was no one else there to score, he became one of the greatest defensemen.
He's going to go to Tampa for a league minimum.
then he's going to go to Actually, Karlsson's going to get traded to Tampa, go on LTIR, come back for the playoffs, and then them in Vegas will be playing in the final.
Yeah,
tradition.
The funny thing about the free agent market, though, too, is there are actually names there. Patrick Kane, Ryan O'Reilly, Vladimir Tarasenko, and you think yes. And if this was 3 to 5 years ago, we'd be going, "Damn, man, this is going to be a free agent market to watch." But no, unfortunately, no. Father Time has been catching up with them in various stages, and with Patrick Kane having hip resurfacing done, there'll still be interest in him, but that could be a signing we see later on in the summer, much later.
Right.
Yeah,
for much less than what he would have probably gotten if he were healthy.
Well, it'll be a 1 year show me deal for maybe 3.5. It's not like it's going to hurt him. The guy's coming off a deal where he was averaging 10.5 mil a season for 8 years. He's not going to be hurting. But yeah, I will be very surprised if he winds up with a multi-year deal that's over 5 mil a season.
Do you see the Habs looking at any free agents? I personally don't think they're going to touch the free agent pool, but do you, Lyle, see the Habs?
Honestly, look, I think Ken Hughes he's going to keep his options open, of course, see what's out there. If there's nothing shaking in the trade market that's going to help him out. But, they're on a rebuilding course. Free agency at this stage, if you're signed a free agent, you're just trying to plug a hole. Okay. You're not looking we want to get better. It's like, no, you're focusing on your younger talent. It's just like, we still have a weakness on our bottom third defense. Okay. Who can we grab that's cheap? Who's, can be a shutdown guy, has some leadership quality and will come in affordably. You're basically plugging a hole.
Corey Perry.
Hey, why not? I don't think Corey wants to come back to a rebuilding team. No. The sad thing is, if they could have kept him. They could have. I still, come on, Mark Bergevin, come on, dude.
One more. He only wanted one more year. You just wanted a 2-year contract.
He only wanted one more. Yeah. But hey, it worked out for him, and the way that the Habs fell apart afterwards is probably for the better for him. So yeah.
Now, on the free agent, moving on from free agency back to the rumors. I know that there's a big hullabaloo right now in Vegas about goaltenders. Who do they keep? Who do they let go? Will they trade for anyone? Have you heard anything in there?
It's all quiet right now for obvious reasons. But
it's quiet, sort of.
Quiet in terms of trade rumors. It's quiet right now. Yeah, they're all still just rocking it on the strip right now. There is a big logjam there in goal. We know that they wanted to talk. They actually did offer Adin Hill, their playoff hero, a contract before the playoffs. But he wanted to wait until the season was over, and that turned out to be a very, very shrewd decision on his part because his value just jumped. And if they let him go, he will not lack for suitors in the free agent market based on his. Yeah, it's a small sample size, but hey, you backstop a team to the Stanley Cup.
What Jordan Binnington did.
yeah, you're going to get paid. So, yeah. But, yeah, it's everything that complicates this, of course, is Robin Lehner's status. And that's the one to watch. He's been, of course, he was recovering from double hip surgery. Plus there was another surgery in there as well. There's also his well-documented financial difficulties off the ice. I actually wrote that a week ago, and somebody in my comment section said, what financial, difficulties? So we all had to explain to him, okay, basically he's bankrupt because he invested in a lizard farm. So, but no, it all comes down to what they're going to do with him. If he's healthy, they could buy him out. That seems like the most obvious choice, because I mean, you've got is it Logan Thompson?
Thompson.
He's got 2 more years. Okay,
at league minimum.
Yeah, very affordable. I think they would be very comfortable with a Thompson Hill tandem.
I think that'd be the best thing that they could do.
Absolutely. Brosseau is going to go to free agency. It'll be, thanks very much, but they're not going to get rid of Logan Thompson.
No, guy with the All-Star game.
Yeah, exactly. So and he was, so, I think they'd be very comfortable with that. And of course, Jonathan Quick. I think Jonathan Quick's heading for retirement.
It seems that way. And you know what? It would be a good way to go out.
Oh, yeah. This would be a great way to go out for him. But again, the whole wild card in this thing is Robin Lehner and what's going to happen with him. If I would have thought if he was healthy, he would have been bought out on the first day. Right. Maybe that still happens. Maybe they're just trying not to be cold, or maybe it's just, no, we don't want to carry that salary on our books. He's not signed for long, and it's not really expensive, but they don't have a lot of money to play with either. They always, they're always bumping up against the cap.
And then they lose that LTIR that they can carry into the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing too. The other thing is if Lehner is still bothered by his hip problems or whatever, because they still have him on LTIR for now. So we'll just have to wait and see. So there's this kind of intrigue with him right now, but it all stems from that. Ultimately, Thompson Hill, I think, is the tandem they want to go with.
Now, you talk about intrigue, and we saw quite a bit of it this weekend in Montreal for some odd reasons. Mm-hmm. It's F1 weekend in Montreal.
Yes.
All kinds of people are in town. Even Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, was in Montreal.
Paul was going to the Habs.
He's taken over the league.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, and this ties into what we do for a living. On a boat, there were a couple of hockey players, PLD and Caulfield, hanging out on a boat, and tongues started to wag.
So was Trevor Zegras. Trevor Zegras was there too.
Almost the size of our Navy too.
Okay. Tongues were wagging. I'm going to tell you all right now, they're just good friends. They're just good friends.
Yeah,
that's all there is to it. And that's
they have the same agent and whatnot, or the same agency.
Yeah. Well, look, PLD lives in Montreal. I mean, come on. What's he supposed to do? Be a hermit and not go and look, there's some Habs around who are out watching Formula One like me. Hey, let's all get together on the boat. Woo! Come on.
Yes, he should be a hermit.
Yeah, oh yes, he absolutely should be. Yeah,
100%.
I'm telling you, it's all smoke screen because Montreal's picking up Trevor Zegras on a trade.
There it is. And
he was there too.
There
and everyone's looking at PLD.
Yeah,
no one's looking at Trevor Zegras.
Exactly. Treg, you are on it, my friend. God, I will be so glad when this whole Dubois situation gets sorted one way or the other.
You think he goes to Montreal?
Look, I will not rule it out, but I really don't see Montreal going after him if he's not going to accept a reasonable contract.
On a long-term deal.
On a long-term deal. But in a reasonable contract, I mean, no, you're not going to be able to keep him under Nick Suzuki's, so-called ceiling. But it wouldn't be much higher than that. But if he's looking for $9 million a season, I do not see biting on that. Yeah, I don't.
I can see a situation like the Kirby Doc situation last year. If they can't move up and get a center in the draft like they want, I can see them maybe trying to push something for Dubois to get that center, and then drafting, say, a Michkov or a Leonard at 5.
You could. I mean, it's pretty obvious to me that when they're trying to move up in the draft, they're looking at getting a center. They want another center. They talk to the Ducks about the number 2 because, of course, Fantilli is the guy there. You talk to the Sharks because, hey, maybe Leo Carlsson or Will Smith is there, and we ain't talking the Fresh Prince. You still got it. You're obligated to throw that out. You have to say, when you mention Will Smith, you have to say not the Fresh Prince. But Will Smith, not the Fresh Prince, was coached, of course, back in his younger days by none other than Canadiens general manager Ken Hughes, back when he was still a player agent. So he knows Will Hughes. Yeah, well, he was like part of the family. Yeah, man, it's yeah. But no, I think if he could get Smith or Karlsson or Fantilli, I mean, and it would be a hell of a coup if he could jump up to 2nd overall and get that. But I don't think that's possible without
substantial offer.
Yeah,
very substantial offer.
And honestly, I don't think that offer's there. I really don't. The same as, I mean, Jarmo Kekalainen, the general manager of the Blue Jackets, said, yeah, he's got teams calling him. Wonder if the Canadiens are among that group. Probably, because if Hughes is talking to Greer in San Jose and to Verbeek in Anaheim, he's got to be talking to Kekalainen in Columbus because he's trying to move up. So
he just wants to hear Kekalainen talk because he kind of sounds like a Bond villain.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Do you expect me to trade you? Do you expect me to trade you Nick Suzuki, Mr. Kekalainen? No, Mr. Hughes. I expect you to die. No. Very, very bad impression of Sean Connery Bond. Right there.
It was still pretty.
My apologies to the estate of Sean Connery for that.
So moving on from that, I got a quick question, and Treg brought up Kirby Doc.
Yeah.
I'll bring up the Sean Monahan trade last year, bringing in a 1st-round pick for more or less a salary dump. Could you, with them, possibly not bringing back Monahan? We don't know. Byron's off the books, etc. Yes, you're paying guys a little bit more money, but they still have some money to spend, and they've got some youth on some kind of cheap contracts so they can fill these positions. Could you see them making another, Sean Monahan-esque type trade to bring in assets and use that money maybe for like a guy on an expiring deal? Say.
Yes, I could. If they're not going to shoot the moon for somebody like Dubois, right? Then maybe you look at bringing in somebody, in a Monahan sort of situation, probably at center, because that's the position that needs most of the attention, most of the care and feeding is required there. So and they've already said that they would like to bring Monahan back for another season. It would just be another 1-year deal. If he's healthy, give him an opportunity to boost his value so that he can go to free agency again next summer, but that's up to him. They've let them know what their feelings are. Now it's up to him. But again, the whole thing, and I don't want to go too far again with the whole Dubois thing either, but I'm of two minds of it, because on the one hand, would I love to see, Pierre-Luc Dubois centering the second line with maybe, you have, a beast like Slafkovsky on his left side, right? With maybe Anderson on the right.
That'd be a big line.
That would be one big, mean, nasty line. Okay. Would I love to see it? Of course I would. But I'm worried about the baggage that comes with PLD, and it's there. He's forced 2 trades now. Okay. It's there. It's hanging there. Now, will he be happy in Montreal and productive in Montreal? Sure, that could happen. Or things go sideways, he's not happy, and here we go again. So you've got to kind of balance that out. And is he going to be worth the money? What kind of money does he want? Again, if he wants $9 million, forget it. If he's willing to take, say, 8.2, okay, 8.2 on a reasonable contract, reasonable length, 4 or 5 years, I'd be content with that. But there's just so much up there. And you brought and you mentioned Kirby Dach, Treg. I mean, the whole reason why they brought in Kirby Dach was to fill that role. Right. And sure, they had him on the wing, and that's again the whole thing that I envisioned with Dubois on the second line. You have Dach back up there, reunited with Suzuki and Caulfield, because that line was terrific.
It's very good. It's very good.
Yes, they were terrific chemistry. But Dach was brought in to be that second line center, and he did fulfill that role when he came back from his injury, and he started to look very comfortable in that role, and then got hurt again. And I don't know if replacing the physiotherapist is fully the way to go, but I guess it's a start as long as they can be healthy.
Maybe the doctor that's been there since the 70s should be replaced. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, he's very well respected. He saved a guy's life on the ice 20 years ago, if you recall.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. So, again, I'd like to see a guy like Dubois there, but I mean, if you're already looking at Kirby Dach to fill that role, and if you're comfortable with him being in that role and you believe that he's going to fill that role, then don't waste your assets and don't waste your money. Stay the course, avoid the shiny.
I put a very short list together. I have a couple guys, and I'm like, I kind of think to myself, maybe these guys could be players they could bring in to fetch in assets. I'll just throw them out really quick. You guys can comment on them as you want. One is Anthony Mantha. 5.7 mil expiring contract.
No, not unless the Caps pick up half. No,
right.
Not interested.
Or the Caps take Armia in return.
Right. Tyson Barrie. 4.5 mil, right-handed shot defenseman. Another expiring contract, Nashville.
Yeah, but he's still kind of one-dimensional, and he's got to be in the right fit. Right. Like he was a good fit there for a while, kind of up and down in Edmonton. Seems to be happy, okay, right now in Nashville where they are. But you remember Toronto was just a disaster for him. Now, of course, that was because he was playing for Mike Babcock.
Right.
Good luck in Columbus, guys.
Right.
But
Josh Bailey.
I think I hate saying it because I like Josh Bailey, but I think he's past it now. I really do.
And the last one, just because there is a rumor that they're looking to move him, Kyler Yamamoto.
Interesting. I think that could be a decent reclamation project. He's young, so he would fit in with what the Habs are trying to build there. Maybe that's just a situation in Edmonton where it started off well and then it didn't work out or what have you. But I think I think he'd be a decent reclamation. He's what he's a restricted free agent, or does he still have another year left?
Still 1 year at 3.1.
I thought so. Yeah. I mean, that salary is not unreasonable for a guy who would be, a middle six winger. So it's not unreasonable. I think if you're looking, if that's a role you want to fill, that would be.
And I know, of course, I'm talking about bringing back assets, not really, not giving out. Like pretty much, you're getting rid of future, a 7th round pick or future considerations or something. Bringing this in with a boatload of.
Yamamoto, none of those guys are really going to bring in a boatload. I mean, Yamamoto.
Well, no. Like for instance, like Monahan came in, 1st round pick. Right.
Yeah. But
obviously depending on the salary. Exactly.
Yeah. The Flames. Yeah. So I didn't mean to. Yeah.
No. That's all I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because of course the Flames, they were desperate to move that contract
to bring in
they
Kadri.
were willing to do it. The Yamamoto, I mean, I don't know if that get the same level of desperation because that contract, that salary isn't quite as high. But I mean, maybe if you squeeze them for a second, if they've got it to spare.
Right.
Yeah. Food for thought. Yeah.
Or they could just take Armia, and if you see what I'm going with, let's get rid of Armia.
And I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Bouchard. There's been rumors that teams have been calling about him, and someone said something about the Montreal Canadiens possibly maybe doing a hostile offer sheet.
That I don't see happening. I'm not saying that it can't, but I think the odds are pretty low. A lot of teams have very little cap space. A lot of teams have 15 million or less. Now, on the face of it, I say that, and people say, "Whoa, that's plenty of cap space." It's like, yeah, and a lot of those teams though have a lot of players to sign,
right?
And that cap space evaporates very quickly. Teams that could make that move are clubs that are rebuilding: Anaheim, Chicago, Arizona. Okay. Does Evan Bouchard want to go from a team that, even though they didn't get past the second round this season, I still think they're going to be a serious cup contender for next season? Does he really want to go from that to a rebuilding club because they're willing to throw a boatload of money at him? I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think he does. Ken Holland doesn't seem to be too concerned about it. He's already said if it happens, we'll match. Of course, if they do, then they're going to have to shed salary. It would complicate things. But I don't see the Canadiens or anybody else really making an offer sheet for. Yeah, Matt, you talk about a hostile offer sheet. Is there any other kind? Here's a gentle offer sheet. Here's a friendly one. Yeah.
Well, like again, like if with the amount of players that they still need to sign, depending on who they want to bring back, one being Bouchard, and he's obviously going to get a raise. Klim Kostin, you got Ryan McLeod, Nick Bukestad. Like some of these guys are going to be the most expensive contracts, but moving out a contract like a Yamamoto to a team and giving up an asset, even again like a second round pick, might be an option for them to generate a little bit more cap space.
Oh yeah. Worst comes to worst, I also heard them mention. I've also heard the possibility if they can't move Yamamoto before the end of the month, they'd buy him out. That's just 1 year, so 1 year that turns into 2, but it's a much more affordable cap situation.
Right.
Now, from there, we go from there to the draft, because the draft is coming up here in about 9 days.
Mm-hmm.
And the talk around the draft has been, where the hell's Michkov going to land? There's talk of him sliding now significantly because of several reasons. One being nobody has talked to him yet because he didn't come in for the combine. Nobody's talked to him to have an interview with him yet. Mm-hmm. And now there's this talk about his attitude where Washington's Russian scout, Nikolation, basically just crapped all over the kid, saying he's the worst attitude he's ever seen in his life. Is there any talk about that?
Well, yeah, quite a bit. Oh, Matt dropped out.
Matt left. He must be really hungry.
He must be, yeah. You know, you're not yourself when you're hungry. He should have had a Snickers. He comes back and he's Joe Pesci. Anyway, the commercial. Michkov is a very, very interesting prospect. He's definitely generated a lot of talk about him, which is in a way kind of refreshing. It's not all Bedard all the time. So, I'll thank him for that. The whole attitude thing, I mean, I'm in no position to comment on it. I mean, we hear these sort of things kicking around from time to time as well. If it's the Capitals, Russian coach who's crapping all over him, well, maybe he's got the inside track that way, which is interesting because the latest intrigue is kind of saying that Michkov is trying to manipulate things so that he'll slide down to 8th where the Capitals are drafting and he gets picked by them. And then he gets to play alongside Alexander Ovechkin if he's still with the team in 3 years' time. That sort of thing. It is kind of interesting though, because as you said, he was a no-show at the combine, wouldn't let any NHL team, any scouts talk to him during the KHL season. But he is going to be at the draft. His agent says he will be at the draft in Nashville for the first round. So maybe we'll get a better beat on the guy then. But I know there's a lot of guys that are really high on this kid, and I can understand why. but there's just so much uncertainty surrounding him. And of course, you do have to bring geopolitics into this as well, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and that could also have an effect on where Russian kids go. That didn't really seem to affect things last year at the draft, not that much from what I could see of Russian players being drafted. But you have to throw all that in, and all the different things. Of course, his father, I guess, passed away several months ago, so there was intrigue about that as well, mystery about that. You'd have to be really, really comfortable with this kid's skill set, but how much of it have they seen? I mean, we haven't even had a chance to see this kid play in international games because, of course, Russia's been boycotted from that, or banned, I should say, from international competition. So, yeah, it comes with a bit of a buyer beware label, I think. Yes, absolutely, he has the potential to be an explosive NHL scoring star. And if you're willing to be patient, because he's under contract for 3 more years in the KHL, you could have another Kirill Kaprizov or another Evgeny Kuznetsov. Think a decade ago, same sort of situation, where he comes in, he's had several years of pro hockey now under his belt, and he makes a pretty much an effortless transition to the NHL and NHL stardom. So there is that possibility. But on the other hand, he's not Kuznetsov. He's not Kaprizov. We really don't have a good solid beat on this kid. So if you're Montreal, for example, if you're gonna select him, I mean, your intel had better be flawless, because this could blow up in your face so bad. And if you're a rebuilding team, really bad, if you're pinning your hopes on him.
Montreal does kind of have an inside, because Bobrov's father is a scout with that. I'm not saying he's calling him back and saying this and that. There's also rumblings about Washington saying this because they want him to drop to 8 so that they can draft him, because it's only Washington's scout Russian that's coming out and saying about his attitude. Now, we all know there's a history of Russians and attitude. It's just Galchenyuk with him and his father. You could even say Alex Kovalev had a bit of an attitude to him, or whatever. But
to be fair, every nation has every nation has players with attitude.
Oh, I agree.
I see your Galchenyuk. I raise you a William Nylander.
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, all right, should I say there's a profile that people have made, a reputation that people have made about Russians for being lazy or only playing when they want to play, but you're absolutely right. You could take any nation. You could take 3 guys from Sweden and go, well, this guy did that, and this guy did that, and this guy did that. You just didn't notice it because he didn't have the talent that these guys have. But for me, I think personally, and I've wrote about this, I think Michkov's the best pick for the Canadiens. He's willing to give interviews this week or this coming week when he gets to, and I think that will be what makes or breaks the Canadiens from picking him or not.
Yeah.
Like, because they want character. They already say that. It's funny how everyone's happy with Hughes saying he likes character, but when Bergevin said it, it was, oh, you're an idiot. But and for those people out there that are saying Michkov or bust, you hit the nail on the head. We don't really know how good Michkov really is.
Yeah,
we don't. Unless
you've not to mention, and not to mention those people that are saying that, they're not being paid to do these jobs, and if they miss on that pick, they're not getting fired.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like there's guys, and I've had a few discussions with them. Like I'm okay with anyone they pick, because I think anyone they pick in this draft is going to be a star player in the next 2 to 3 years. I'm telling you, if they pick Reinbacher at 5, he's going to be a top 2 defenseman in the NHL.
Yeah,
I hate, he may not be the scoring defenseman that everyone would expect in a top 5, but he's going to be a top 2 defenseman.
Top pairing.
He'd be a top pairing defenseman in the NHL.
Yeah. Like the second best defenseman, just top pairing.
No, he will be the second best defenseman in the. You heard it here first. No,
after Jordan Harris.
No, Jordan Harris will be gone.
After Arbor Jackeye.
Arbor Jackeye will be the best defenseman in the NHL. I will stand by that.
There you go.
But and that's the thing. But there is a lot of people on Twitter. I mean, you've seen it, Lyle, that are Michkov. If you don't pick Michkov, we're going to be the worst. We're going to be a mediocre team for the next 20 years.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
But these people are just going off. They've seen the lacrosse style goal highlight.
Yeah.
They've seen a couple other highlights from the K. Now, I've watched 4 games that Michkov's played. KHL games. DAZN carries some KHL games. I've watched 4 games. I thought he looked good. He scored a goal in one. I think he had 2 assists in another. I don't think he had any points but he was the best player of the team. I can say that. Of course, the team was the worst team in the league. But you also got to look. The KHL is not the NHL.
That's
when
right.
It comes to talent, and it's almost like when Austin Matthews played in Switzerland.
Yeah,
of course he's going to be the best player, or whatever. And so what I'm telling the people, if they pass on Michkov, there's a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason and you could say it's the 3 years in Russia. You could say it's the attitude. You could say whatever it is, but there's a reason. And I think the biggest reason is going to be is no one knows what they're getting.
Yeah.
No one knows.
Everybody knows what you're getting in Adam Fantilli. Everybody knows what you're getting in Leo Karlsson. Everybody knows what you're getting in David Reinbacher. Why? Because we saw these kids in international play. We've also seen there's plenty of game footage and on that we've seen of these kids when they're in the in NCAA, whether they're Canadian junior, whether they're playing over in Sweden or wherever. But yeah, Michkov is this man of mystery, and it's just he could be great. He could be crap. He could be somewhere in the middle. And if you've got an opportunity, I think, to draft somebody that you seem well and you think, this kid's going to make it, then you take the kid that you think for sure is going to make it over the one with the aura of mystery, And by the way, the Canadians are not trying to trade up because they're scared of what their fans would do if they pass on Michkov. So that's why they're trying to trade up to get Fantilli, because that way then they don't have to deal with Michkov. They're not trading up because they can get Leo Karlsson. That way they have cover if they don't take Michkov. My God, people, stop with the conspiracy theories, please. They're just trying to trade up to see if they can just better their chances to get a really good player.
The draft is already done. Bettman picked every player that each team.
Absolutely,
anyway,
yes.
So it doesn't really matter.
Yes, and Kevin Weeks will inadvertently reveal who it is at
2 minutes before the draft.
Yes.
Yeah. Not until Kevin Weeks says something.
Break. Yeah.
So basically, Michkov is the Schrodinger's draft pick for the Canadians.
Yes. That's basically a very apt way of putting it.
And for me, if they choose not to pick him, it's because they don't have control over his development for the next 3 years. That's the big issue for anybody.
That's a good point. Yep. I mean, as I said, though, previous players have been drafted, spent 3-4 years in the KHL, like you said, come over like Kuznetsov and Kaprizov and been great stars. Michkov's problem is that his last name doesn't begin with K. Okay, that's Kaprizov, because forget about it. Anyway,
he's also 5th overall, and that's very different from Kaprizov, who was a 5th rounder.
Yeah. It's just just put your trust in Ken Hughes and his staff that he's going to do the right thing here. I mean, everybody lost their minds when they took Slafkovsky, and now everybody loves Slafkovsky, and don't you dare trade him. So
depends who you ask, really.
Yeah, well,
should have been in the AHL.
Yeah.
Here, there, and everywhere. I just want to see what the kid's going to look like now that he's had at least some NHL experience and he knows what's in store for him. And he will have another year to grow into his body and be bigger and stronger. And I honestly want to see him develop a little bit of a mean edge too. I don't want to see him be a goon. Play with a bit of an edge to your game, kid. You got the size. Use it.
Well, he did the year he was drafted. He was he got a little bit too feisty sometime.
Yeah,
and because he was kind of the biggest guy on his team, and got suspended for hits to the head and that kind of stuff, right? So
he has
it in him.
He
at
he
the
reminds
NHL
me
level.
of he reminded me this season of like just a big puppy, just kind of glumping around,
He had his games. He had his games
Yeah.
that he would finish his checks and everything. Once he got suspended for as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he really took a lot of hard hits this year too.
Yeah.
So
He's the Peter Popovich of the
my fear is that he kind of would have a bit of the Eric Lindros syndrome, and that he was so used to being the biggest kid on the ice that other kids bounced off him, so he didn't really know how to prepare himself for hard hits from men who knew how to hit.
Right.
So hopefully
he's worked on it.
Yeah, that was the only part of his game that I saw this past season that worried me. The rest of it was like, I can see why Montreal took him, and I can see the potential that's there.
Yeah.
Just
he improved every game. He developed every game. And I truly believe the Canadians weren't worried about his scoring. They were worried trying to develop him in the other areas of the ice that he needed to work on. They already know he has the talent. And you could tell each game his confidence was growing, his passes were crisper, his shots were better. He found the open ice better. He worked the corners better. But I was same thing. He just put his head down and said, "Oh, I got the puck now. I'm just going to go skating." And you're going to get a guy like Tom Wilson or whoever is just going to plow.
Yep.
Just going to plow.
But
and
hopefully he will have improved on that area of his game. If he has, they're going to be in good shape.
Yeah.
Good shape. Well, and if they can be healthy next season, maybe they might actually make things interesting. Maybe.
And
I still maintain, guys, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Habs fan. I'm looking at it. I actually am looking at it objectively. There were 10 games last year that I saw that if they had been healthy, they would have won. Now, they wouldn't have made the playoffs, but they would have had 82 points, which would have put them right in there if they had been healthy.
I've always said if they were healthy, they would have been drafting 12 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guaranteed. Guaranteed they'd be drafting 12 to 15. I said right from this first of this season, they were not a bottom 5 team. They were a bottom 10 team.
Look how good they were, especially through November. Like October is all new. Rebuilding teams, some of them can look great at this, in the first month, and then all the wheels start to fall off. But I was impressed with how they were looking through November until the injuries started to bite in December, But that kind of gave me at least some idea of what we might be looking at if this team can just be healthier. Injuries are going to happen. They're unavoidable, but they cannot go 3 years in a row leading the leading man games lost to injury. If that happens, then people have got to lose their jobs because, I know it's already started, but I'm hoping that that's just part of an whole improvement, overhaul, whatever you want to call it, of their medical department. And the big thing, the big thing is why was Cole Caulfield playing through an obvious injury in a season where there was no reason for him to play through it? They weren't trying to contend for a playoff spot. I could have understood it if they were battling, they want to hang on to a playoff spot and they needed him. There was no reason for him to keep playing through that shoulder injury.
Contract milestones. He wanted to hit certain milestones for a contract.
Yeah, well, whatever. Doesn't matter. You're not helping the team. If that's why you're playing, is so you can hit your contract milestone, your priorities are out of whack on this team.
I'm just throwing out as a theory because
I know that maybe
he could have maybe came back later on in the year.
He said that the reason why he kept playing, that's why he kept playing until it just reached the point where it's like, okay, I got to stop, and that's when he said, if we were still in the playoffs, if we were running for the playoffs, I'd keep playing. And that's just not good. And that's and it's not just Caulfield. That mentality permeates the entire NHL, and it permeates junior hockey and other levels of hockey too. You keep playing even though you're playing with an injury that is obviously affecting your performance. And then we find out at the end of the season, oh, that's why he sucked in the second half. So they really need to start changing that out. You're not helping your team if you continue to play hurt. If you get injured and it's a serious enough injury, get the treatment, then you can come back in the second half of the season when they would possibly really, really need you. Anyway, that's my rant. Done with that part.
That's why I never made the NHL. I got hurt. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to come back till I'm ready.
40 years
I didn't
later.
make it because I suck.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
My dream of the NHL died when I was 13. I just knew it. It was like, yeah, I'm not getting off these pawns.
If any of us had a shot, do you think any of us would have joined the military? Really?
Exactly.
You know what? Like, worst comes to worst, if Montreal goes through another injury-ridden season and these new, physiotherapists don't do the trick, we're gonna hear some really good. Like this year was like fall hard for Bedard, etc. I've already come up with play like a weenie for Celebrini, or right, can't get right, or can't get no wins if you want Iserman, right? So, right.
Oh man, hey, I applaud the creativity.
Yeah, so
I do.
We'll see that first injury, and I'll be like, it's.
I'm tweeting that play like a weenie. I'm gonna tweet that play like a weenie for Celebrini like tonight. I'm gonna be like, next year Montreal, play like a weenie for Celebrini.
There you go. Yeah, you're still rebuilding. Get the playoffs.
Yeah. As long as you put my name as a quote.
From some guy I met, some random guy.
Yeah.
Some homeless dude wearing Blue Jays gear.
Yeah. Some guy wearing hand-me-down Blue Jays gear from Value Village.
I personally love how prepared you are, Matt. I think that's part of why you're a leader.
I do my best. We started.
Yeah, you had canned questions. I had nothing. I was just like, what are we talking about? Hey, I got a question.
I will say this though. I mean, just to kind of go back onto the trade thing there for a second, though, I think we're going to see a very, very busy couple of weeks here, because the free agent market is, pretty lame. I think we're going to see some significant players on the move. I mean, guys like Erik Karlsson, perhaps, but I'm thinking guys whose contracts aren't that hefty. Guys.
What about a guy like Brock Besser?
Not
necessarily to Montreal, right? But
no.
A lot of rumors about him.
Sure, but those rumors have kind of cooled off in the last couple of months, Matt. And with
Talk coming in, right?
Yeah, well, that and at the end of the season, I mean, Besser was both publicly and privately saying, look, I want to stay. And everything that I've read and heard is that, unless the Canucks get an offer that's too good to refuse, they're quite happy to keep him. The guy that I hear, out of Vancouver that they want to move is Connor Garland. Now, whether they do that now that they bought out Ekman-Larsson, we'll see. That's changed the equation. But all the trade talk that was coming out of Vancouver for the past month leading up to the Ekman-Larsson buyout was Connor Garland getting traded. 4.9 mil, for I think 3 more seasons. He's an energy guy. He's late 20s, so he's not past his prime. He works hard. He's feisty. He's almost like a Gallagher type player,
right?
So I think there would be a market for him if they're actually seriously looking at moving him. But again, now that Ekman-Larsson's off the books, maybe they're not pushing so hard to do that. But Besser, unless somebody comes to them and blows their socks off with a great offer, they're quite content to keep bringing back next season.
Yeah, and they'll have to re-sign Elias Pettersson after next season.
Yeah,
who's gonna be getting a raise.
Expensive.
Oh boy, yeah. And the thing is, too, this is season coming up is going to be an important one for the Canucks because, you got to re-sign Pettersson. You got to show him that you're not spinning your wheels. Yeah. We see another season where they come out of the first half and they just look like crap again, and then it's like, then now they're fighting like hell to try and either make a playoff berth or at least make the season look respectable again. I mean, it's certainly not going to sit well with their fans. I mean, we talk about fans in Toronto and Montreal being impatient. Oh boy, howdy, in Vancouver, they're ready to lynch somebody if this team doesn't improve. So, I think that's going to be very important for them that the Canucks show some real significant improvement in this coming season, or Pettersson might start to reconsider things. Right now, he's saying all the right things. Yes, I believe in this team. Yes, I want to stay. Yeah, well, things change season to season. So we'll wait and see on him.
I truly believe the trade market's going to be a lot of goaltending. I think you're going to see a lot of goaltenders move this offseason. I think teams like Toronto and Edmonton, who feel that I think Edmonton. I truly believe Edmonton's a goalie away from. But then again, Aiden Hill proved you don't need that big time goalie to.
Well, there's already goalies that are on the trade market. Like Carter Hart's been talked about.
Connor Hellebuck.
Right.
Connor Hellebuck's the big one.
Right. Connor Hellebuck's the big one. Yeah.
And Saros.
Well, you got Saros or Askarov, right? I'd say more Askarov than anything.
Yeah,
well, they don't want him just to sit there.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to get a beat on that one though, with Barry Trotz coming in as the new
John
general
Gibson
manager.
Will be another.
Gibson, yeah,
right.
Gibson wants a trade. He talked with Verbeek last month about a trade. Apparently, he was available last summer, but the asking price was too high. This year, though, maybe it's a different story. But yeah, I mean, you talk about Edmonton looking for goalies. Did you mention Toronto?
Toronto. Well, they're looking to get rid of Murray, whether they're going to want to bring another goalie in or not. But I don't see them going anywhere with Samsonov and Wall. I just don't see them.
Honestly, I beg to differ there, because I was actually impressed with both those kids with their performances.
Samsonov played well,
especially in the playoffs. So I can see them being content to give that combination a shot. Okay. But you want to talk about teams that are looking for goalies. New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
They could be looking for one. Seriously. Carolina Hurricanes. Now they're talking about, keeping the band together and going for another shot at it next year. But, do they take a chance on Freddie Anderson again and Antti Ranta again? Or, hey, here's an opportunity for Connor Hellebuck, even if it's just for 1 year, right? Jump on him. Don't forget the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Colorado.
They're going to be. Pardon me?
Colorado.
No, I think they're all right with Georgiev. I think they're all right. I think they're all right with him. But definitely Pittsburgh, because I think Tristan Jarry's out the door, and they're not going to go with DeSmith and whoever else they got. And John Gibson might be a fit there. Pittsburgh boy. He's got 4 years left on his contract, so he can slide right in there and be part of that veteran core, because Kyle Dubas's job, his number one job, is going to be you're building around those 3 aging stars so that we can have one more shot, try and have one more shot at a Stanley Cup run. So, maybe John Gibson goes there, or maybe they pull a swerve. Maybe they can go after Hellebuck. Let's be honest, Hellebuck is the big name there, because we know he's not signing an extension. Now, the Jets don't necessarily have to trade him. They can keep him for the end of for another season. And then, but I really don't see them doing that. That's just stupid. Okay. If the guy is telling you, I'm not interested in an extension, well, you already know you're not a Stanley Cup contender. You're a marginal playoff team as it is right now. Right. Trade this guy. If you don't want to do a full rebuild, trade him and bring in players that will help you retool so you can bounce back within a year or two. Right. If Hellebuck's out there and teams are interested, that's the big name that could go between now and the first round. If we don't see a lot of significant player movement when we go into day one of the draft, boy, this could get hot and hectic. I mean, this could get really, really frantic. There's going to be, a lot of. I think back to the draft in Ottawa in 2008, where it took them 5 hours to complete the first round, because it just seemed like every second time they went up to do announcements, there's Gary Bettman coming up saying, "We've got a trade to announce." So it was a lot of fun, but damn, that was a long draft. That first round, anyway. But yeah, so you got Hellebuck, you got Gibson. I'm still not sold on Saros. I'm not writing it off, Treg. I'm not writing that one off. But with Barry Trotz right now, it's kind of hard to get a handle on what he's thinking, where he wants to go. Is he rebuilding? Is he just going to look at retooling? Because if you're retooling, you keep Saros, right? Retooling means we want to turn this around quick, okay? But if he's thinking, we need to tear this down and start again, and we've got a young goalie here that we want to get in and play, well, then okay. Right now, that's too hard to tell.
Anything else, guys?
No, I'm good.
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
All right. Well, may as well just skip over to final thoughts then. We'll keep Lyle for last because he is the best of the four. So, Treg, final thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Lyle. It's going to be lots of movement, I think, between now
It's
and
a good idea to do
between
that.
now and the draft, or the draft is going to be crazy. I personally think a lot's going to go down at the draft with a lot of teams. I think Ken Hughes got a few moves in him. I think he likes to use these big days to make his mark. So far, so good with Hughes. And no matter who he picks at number 5, they're going to be a star going forward. Yeah. So don't, if he picks Benson, Leonard, Reinbacher, doesn't matter. We're getting a top level hockey player in the NHL that's going to improve this team. That's my final thought.
Matt?
Building on Treg's comment, 7th round, Hampton Sleknowski, book it.
Even if they take Harabel at 37.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's surpassing for sure. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, and for me, I guess my final thought: orcas are a natural predator to moose. Did you know that?
They have eaten moose? They have eaten moose
Yes.
off the coast of Vancouver.
They have.
Well, moose are pretty vulnerable in the water, so it's not like put the orca on land, and I think the moose has the advantage.
Maybe the moose are
Yeah.
pretty mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd never heard of a moose eating an orca. That's all I'm saying.
No, but the Canada goose beats them all.
That oh well, the Cobra chicken rules.
yeah.
Come on.
Cobra chicken rules.
Mm-hmm.
We're going nuclear at this point with those guys.
Oh,
I had an argument with one going into my work at Ottawa.
You lost.
I disagreed. I just went, you know what? Fine. I still have a pass and you don't.
Wow. There you go. So that was it for my final thoughts. So Lyle, any final thoughts?
Boy, I don't know how I'm going to top that last one, Blain. Though, just a quick counterpoint: the reason why you never see a moose eat an orca is because a moose is a herbivore.
Ooh.
Or are they?
Oh yes, they are. Oh yes. Oh yes.
I've seen them try to eat cars.
They're just trying to get some iron in their diet, dude. Come on.
That's exactly right.
Exactly. In all seriousness, yeah, I to what Treg was saying, I don't think I don't think anybody's gonna be too upset with whoever Montreal picks at number 5, if that's where they end up staying. It's possible they might move up 1 or 2 spaces if they can move up into the 2nd overall one without selling the farm to do so. That'll be a hell of a coup, but I don't see that happening. Basically, just I think everybody who's trying to 2nd and 3rd and 4th guess what Hughes is going to do, just calm down, people. Calm down. Like Treg said, you're going to get a hell of a player here, a very promising young player who could turn around and be a star for Montreal in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. Be patient with these kids here. And, I would think by now that maybe at this point, Hughes should have earned our trust. And I'm saying this now, I'm taking off my unbiased hat and putting my Habs fan hat on here. I think by now, has he not earned your trust at this stage in a year and a half? Tell me one move he's made where he has put a false foot forward, okay? Where he's taken the wrong step. It hasn't. You can't go, oh, he took Slafkovsky over Shane Wright. Says no one ever. Okay, in terms of that as a criticism. Okay, nobody's really seriously saying that as a criticism. All right. He has yet to make a bad trade. Every deal, every move that he's made has brought back extra. Okay, to help build this team moving forward. So just whatever he picks, whoever he picks, be happy with it. Simmer down. It's okay. We've got a very promising young team here. If they can stay healthy, yes. but the future is bright with these guys, and we're still in the middle of a rebuild. Let's be honest here about that. Would we like to see them contend for the playoffs next year? Of course we all would. We would love to see that. Even if it's first round and out, hey, it's progress. I will take progress being 20 points over where they were this season. To me, that will be real progress. Win 10 more games, have a healthier roster, kind of be in the hunt, even if you don't make it. And just, let's just let things unfold here and wait and see. Let's let the dust settle and maybe come back on this. Let's come back on this, if you want to have me on the show again, say in a month's time or whatever, when all the dust is settled. And then we can kind of get a better bead on where they're going here. Because for all we know, Hughes could, as Trege suggested, he could have a couple of tricks up his sleeve that none of us are expecting, where we could turn around in a month's time and go, man, we never saw that. Holy crap. How did it? Whoa. So, just everybody just calm down. Enjoy. This is a time of year that's fun. Sure, it's fun to kind of guess and speculate, but this whole, they don't pick Michkov, that's it. It sucks. Come on, he's not the only guy in the draft, okay? He's going to be a good player.
To paraphrase Carey Price, chill out.
Yeah, exactly.
Paraphrase. That's directly quote Carey Price. Chill out.
It's preseason. Chill out. Relax. Okay, this is off season, guys. Off season. This selection is not going to make or break the Montreal Canadiens. It's just not. For a team that has Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield and Caden Gooley, right? And Kirby Doc and Yaroslav Sapkowski, and hey, the man with the fists like cured hams, but yeah. But hey, I love that kid though. I still love his story. It's great, hard work and perseverance paying off. I really hope that he sticks with them. That he sticks with them and turns into not just some guy that they throw for 7 minutes a game, but a guy who, pulls regular shifts and, is a solid defensive guy that, occasionally if you need to, you can throw him up there on the second power play and he can help you out there too. And if somebody tries to take liberties with guys like Caulfield and Suzuki, he sorts them out. Yeah. Nothing wrong with guys
and they'll pick his brother at the draft.
There you go. Maybe. Hey, stranger things have happened.
In the seventh round.
In the seventh round.
Now, before we let you go, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find all your work?
All of my work. Well, first off, on my website, spectorshockey.net, not .com, .net. Got to get the hockey reference in there. It's a hockey site. That's where, of course, I do my daily roundups of the top headlines and the notable trade rumors with my insight in there as well. You can also find my rumor roundup on the Hockey News, the online version, 5 days a week. You can also find me over on Bleacher Report doing all kinds of things. My mock draft will be up on Thursday there, so check it out and see who I think the Canadiens are picking at number 5 and number 30. Here's a hint: number 30 could surprise you.
31.
Ruminate on that let that marinate a while. There you go. And if you're here on Prince Edward Island, if you're listening in on Prince Edward Island, of course, you can find my column in The Guardian every 2 weeks in our local paper here. The Guardian covers the island like the dew is the masthead. And that's where I just write about all things hockey from October until basically to the end of June. So my latest column will be out tomorrow for my end of season column. There you go. And if you read German, Ice Hockey News as well. That's where you'll find me there as well. Over in Germany.
For retiree, you're some busy.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. Yeah. And you know what? I love it. I'm completing now my 17th full season of doing this full time since I retired from the military to pursue this as a full-time gig. And it's had its ups and downs, guys, just like anything else. But at the end of the day, I'm doing what I love doing, and I'm just fortunate enough that I'm still able to make a comfortable living doing it. 5 more years, though. 5 more years. I just need 5 more good years. I get to 65 and draw in that sweet CPP and OAS money. Woo! Living the dream. Woo! Oh, wait. No, that's not enough. Oh, I need more? Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I guess I'll be writing for a while.
Yeah.
Happy wife, happy life, Lyle.
That's right.
There you go.
Now, Lyle, I want to thank you very much for coming on yet again and providing us a ton of fun chat and the stuff that we aren't airing is for a reason.
It's a little salty, kids. A little salty.
Kind of salty. The stuff we are airing, though, is gold. So, as always, you're welcome to come back anytime.
It's, guys, seriously, it's my pleasure. It's fun to talk to you. It's fun to talk Habs and specifically and hockey in general. And I'm serious. Once the dust settles from all this in the next 4 to 6 weeks, if you got any time, if nobody's on a posting slump or anything like that this year, maybe we can kind of there he is. There's 2 thumbs and is on a posting slump. This guy.
I've been on a posting slump for 19 years.
Live the dream, baby. Hell yeah. But seriously though, it would be kind of fun maybe if we can kind of come back in 4 to 6 weeks and just after the dust is settled, and maybe kind of, because I'd be interested in hearing you guys' thoughts too on everything that's going to go on. I'm also going to kind of give a listen up too for your post draft show, and I want to hear all the inside details too.
If we're sober enough.
Well, listen, I'll take drunken ramblings. That's totally fine. Totally fine.
That's probably what's going to happen.
Seriously, I do miss going to the drafts. I really do. They're so much fun. And it's a great way to connect with people in the industry and just with fans and just make new friends, who love the Habs or love hockey. It's fantastic. So much fun.
Yeah, Elliot Freeman, you said you'd be on the show. I'm calling you.
Yeah. Yeah. So
thank you. John Lou was on the show.
Yeah. A couple times.
Yes. So it's Craig Button.
Yep.
There you go.
And John hung out with us, I might add.
Yes, I have photographic evidence of that, ladies and germs, which it's no secret because they spread it all over Twitter. So yeah. Look at us hanging with John Lou.
I mean, John's hair is just too perfect, so I had to share that.
It's Trent Crim hair.
I'm trying to get the John hair going.
You're getting there.
John Lou's getting Trent Crim hair. It's perfect.
Yes, it's true. So thank you to everybody who has tuned in, who has listened, who has followed us until this point. We're going to try and get you a ton more content before we head down to Nashville. And remember, we are going to be in Nashville, so you follow the Habs Unfiltered page. There's going to be all kinds of content there. And give Lyle a follow if you haven't already. You're missing out if you haven't. So to everybody who's still listening at this point, thank you for listening. And remember, if you're talking